So this area is called Bull Valley, and when I was kids, me and my friends, we would drive around and smoke bowls and drive around and look at the mansions and shit. And there's always tales of the devil worshippers out here. And there's uh, a house called the Stickney House that's the main farm in this valley, and the name got it's Bull Valley from apparently the ground was so hard that they used bulls to till the soil, but it also has astrological meaning to me. But I think Taurus and stuff, but also um, so this house, the Stickney House, they had no corners in the house. It's a stone house, but it eventually became the fire department. So um, so that was like the legend. Part of the legend is they didn't want ghosts to get stuck in the corners. That, and then also there was this other house that was quote unquote the devil worshippers house, but it was a kind of like a like early '90s, and they had a like an alarm, like when you get too close to the house, the light would go off. So we would get too close to it, and light would go off, and we'd run away. But later on, um, actually a few months ago, I was been always one interested in finding the Freemasons and looking at the rings and stuff in the service merchandise catalog or Montgomery Wards or whatever, and something always drew me to that, and um, so I found myself in the McHenry Lodge, like just right outside of it. So I left a note that I was interested in joining, but also I found this random YouTube where this guy was talking about his path with like the dark side, like going and part of it was masonry, and some of the stuff that he said really resonated with what I've been through, and I don't know why I've been through it, but it's just kind of like happened, like choosing 7 people, or some things along those lines. Um, but then he said that there was stuff that was like hurting children and stuff like that. So I didn't want to pursue that anymore. But he did say that this area, like Rockford and Chicago, is like a stronghold of Satanism. So, and this is like right in between Rockford and Chicago. So, and he was talking about um, like places in Evanston or other parks, and so he has a um, I think he was telling the truth about this stuff. But well, anyway, so I don't want to slander anyone, but I believe this house was designed by Satanists, and I have numerous things that I've seen that makes me believe that. And one shortly after, I didn't know when I bought it, but I knew that the area had that that history, but I didn't really think anything about it. But um, but one thing that really freaked me out, and it kind of led to my belief on time and time travel and possibilities like that, and possibly the reason why this area is important, is it is a very steep valley. Right at the cusp of this valley, and it just goes straight down from here. My road has got like a warning sign because it goes so steep, and it is steep, and it's a valley, and so I'm like right at the cusp of it. But there might be something to do with like waves of gravity or whatever. But when there's change in elevation and stuff like that, things can happen. Like if you think of a tsunami coming towards the west coast, I know that there's been uncover like discoveries of huge tsunami waves that have been channeled through, like where the elevation changes, or like it kind of like funnels it in and it like amplifies. So so I think that this might be reason why this valley is important on that. But one thing that really freaked me the fuck out was shortly after I bought this place. I was standing right in this area right here, and I heard this like a drum beat, like way far away, and but the thing is, there's all conservation land over here. There's nothing being built or anything like that, and I never heard anything else being built. It just like a drum off in the distance, like boom, 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 rhythmic. for like, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but he's like, well, shit, somebody's got a bass drum out there or something. Like, I've seen some people like on the train, like a park. This guy would be out there jamming in this park area where I could see him from the train because his roommates probably hated him, so he probably took his drum out in the middle of nowhere and did it. And I never heard it again. And then I was on a conference call. I was smoking a cigarette. I was working at the time, and so it was like a couple weeks after I bought the place. So I remember that. And then a year later, I heard it again, and almost to the freaking day. And I realized that, and I'm like, holy shit! And this is like the exact same thing a year later, and its sound, you know, like I don't know, like caught in like a fucking like a bleeding through from time and space. I don't know what the hell it was, but I heard somebody banging. It wasn't a drum today, but I heard somebody like hammering. But that made me think of that story, and that's one of the things that made me believe what I believe in this whole time and space and dimensions thing. Um, but it's Native Americans were here before, so it's kind of like the pet cemetery kind of thing. Like I don't know, but I have more stories about this this property, this land, and things I've seen that I fucking can't explain. But god damn it, I don't know if it was the drugs or what, but I know it wasn't the drugs that first time. I know it hasn't been the drugs a lot of other times. I think the drugs kind of like let me glimpse into that other world, but I've seen some shit. I've seen ghosts on these fucking like it looks like people standing like around this tree and shit like that. But that one I was probably high on. But it's but then you learn about what those stones represent around there, and it's like, well, where do we get the tradition of headstones? So I don't know. But I thought that was a good story, and that's something that I'll never forget. Having that realization that this was almost it had to be like the year to the day that I was hearing that drum beat, and a year later hearing it off in those woods. And I might go in the woods later, but it's overcast and kind of cold. But I gotta write all this shit down. But sometimes it's easier to just say it and like it flow. Um,
Mm.